The United Kingdom, UK, has 14 overseas territories. Anguilla. Anguilla is a British overseas territory in the Caribbean. It is one of the most northerly of the Leeward Islands in the Lesser Antilles, lying east of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and directly north of St. Martin. The territory consists of the main island of Anguilla, approximately 16 miles, 26 kilometers, long by 3 miles, 5 kilometers, wide at its widest point, together with a number of much smaller islands and cays with no permanent population. The territory's capital is the Valley. The total land area of the territory is 35 square miles, 91 km2, with a population of approximately 15,753, 2021. Ascension. Ascension Island is an isolated volcanic island, 7 degrees 56 feet south of the equator in the South Atlantic Ocean. It is about 960 miles, 1,540 kilometers, from the coast of Africa and 1,400 miles, 2,300 kilometers, from the coast of South America. It is governed as part of the British Overseas Territory of St. Helena, Ascension and Tristan da Cunha, of which the main island, St. Helena, is around 800 miles, 1,300 kilometers, to the southeast. The territory also includes the sparsely populated Tristan da Cunha archipelago, 2,000 miles, 3,200 kilometers, to the south, about halfway to the Antarctic Circle. Bermuda. Bermuda, historically known as the Bermudas or Somers Isles, is a British overseas territory in the North Atlantic Ocean. The closest land outside the territory is in the American state of North Carolina, about 1,035 kilometers, 643 miles, to the west-northwest. British Antarctic Territory. The British Antarctic Territory, BAT, is a sector of Antarctica claimed by the United Kingdom as one of its 14 British overseas territories, of which it is by far the largest by area. It comprises the region south of 60 degrees south latitude and between longitudes 20 degrees west and 80 degrees west, forming a wedge shape that extends to the South Pole, overlapped by the Antarctic claims of Argentina, Argentine Antarctica, and Chile, Chilean Antarctic Territory. The claim to the region has been suspended since the Antarctic Treaty came into force in 1961. British Indian Ocean Territory. The Indian Ocean is the third largest of the world's 5 oceanic divisions, covering 70,560,000 square kilometers, 27,240,000 square miles, or approximately 20% of the water area of Earth's surface. 4. It is bounded by Asia to the north, Africa to the west and Australia to the east. To the south it is bounded by the Southern Ocean, or Antarctica, depending on the definition in use. 5. The Indian Ocean has large marginal or regional seas, such as the Andaman Sea, the Arabian Sea, the Bay of Bengal, and the Laccadive Sea. British Virgin Islands. The British Virgin Islands, BVI, 3. Officially the Virgin Islands, 4, are a British overseas territory in the Caribbean, to the east of Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands and northwest of Anguilla. The islands are geographically part of the Virgin Islands archipelago and are located in the Leeward Islands of the Lesser Antilles and part of the West Indies. Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands is a self-governing British overseas territory, and the largest by population. The 264 square kilometer, 102 square mile, territory comprises the 3 islands of Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, which are located south of Cuba and northeast of Honduras, between Jamaica and Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The capital city is Georgetown on Grand Cayman, which is the most populous of the 3 islands. Falkland Islands. The Falkland Islands, Spanish, Isla Malvinas, commonly referred to as the Falklands, is an archipelago in the South Atlantic Ocean on the Patagonian Shelf. The principal islands are about 300 miles, 500 kilometers, east of South America's southern Patagonian coast and 752 miles, 1,210 kilometers, from Cape Dubuzet at the northern tip of the Antarctic Peninsula, at a latitude of about 52 degrees south. The archipelago, with an area of 4,700 square miles, 12,000 km2, comprises East Falkland, West Falkland, and 776 smaller islands. As a British overseas territory, the Falklands have internal self-governance, but the United Kingdom takes responsibility for their defence and foreign affairs. The capital and largest settlement is Stanley on East Falkland. Gibraltar. Gibraltar is a British overseas territory and city located at the southern tip of the Iberian Peninsula, on the Bay of Gibraltar, near the exit of the Mediterranean Sea into the Atlantic Ocean, Strait of Gibraltar. It has an area of 6.8 square kilometers, 2.6 square miles, 3, and is bordered to the north by Spain, Campo de Gibraltar. The landscape is dominated by the Rock of Gibraltar, at the foot of which is a densely populated town area, home to some 34,003 people, primarily Gibraltarians. Montserrat. Montserrat is a British overseas territory in the Caribbean. It is part of the Leeward Islands, the northern portion of the Lesser Antilles chain of the West Indies. Montserrat is about 16 kilometers, 10 miles, long and 11 kilometers, 7 miles, wide, with roughly 40 kilometers, 25 miles, of coastline. It is nicknamed the Emerald Isle of the Caribbean, both for its resemblance to coastal Ireland and for the Irish ancestry of many of its inhabitants. Montserrat is the only non-fully sovereign full member of the Caribbean Community and the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, though it is far from being the only dependency in the Caribbean overall. Pitcairn Islands. The Pitcairn Islands, officially Pitcairn, Henderson, Ducie and Oeno Islands, are a group of 4 volcanic islands in the southern Pacific Ocean that form the sole British overseas territory in the Pacific Ocean. The 4 islands, Pitcairn, Henderson, Ducie and Oeno, are scattered across several hundred kilometers of ocean and have a combined land area of about 47 square kilometers, 18 square miles. Henderson Island accounts for 86% of the land area, but only Pitcairn Island is inhabited. The inhabited islands nearest to the Pitcairn Islands are Mangariva, of French Polynesia, 688 kilometers to the west, Note 2, as well as Easter Island, 1,929 kilometers to the east. St. Helena. St. Helena is one of the 3 constituent parts of St. Helena, Ascension and Tristan da Cunha, 5, a remote British overseas territory. St. Helena is a volcanic and tropical island, located in the South Atlantic Ocean, some 1,874 kilometers, 1,165 miles, west of the mainland of the continent of Africa, with the southern African nations of Angola and Namibia on its southwestern coast being the closest nations geographically. The island is around 1,950 kilometers, 1,210 miles, west of the coast of southwestern South Africa, and 4,000 kilometers, 2,500 miles, east of the major seaport city of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in South America. South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands. South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands, SGSSI, is a British overseas territory in the southern Atlantic Ocean. It is a remote and inhospitable collection of islands, consisting of South Georgia and a chain of smaller islands known as the South Sandwich Islands. South Georgia is 165 kilometers, 103 mi, long and 35 kilometers, 22 miles, wide and is by far the largest island in the territory. The South Sandwich Islands lie about 700 kilometers, 430 miles, southeast of South Georgia. The territory's total land area is 3,903 square kilometers, 1,507 square miles. The Falkland Islands are about 1,300 kilometers, 810 miles, west from its nearest point. Turks and Caicos Islands. The Turks and Caicos Islands are a British overseas territory consisting of the larger Caicos Islands and smaller Turks Islands, 2 groups of tropical islands in the Lucayan archipelago of the Atlantic Ocean and northern West Indies. They are known primarily for tourism and as an offshore financial center. The resident population in 2023 was estimated by the World Factbook at 59,367, making it the 3rd largest of the British overseas territories by population. However, according to a Department of Statistics estimate in 2022, the population was 47,720. The UK is responsible for the defence, foreign relations, and good governance of its overseas territories. The territories are mostly self-governing, with their own governments and parliaments.